not that, or it's not indicative of much. Sparta, of course, was very impressed by Slavia against Milan in Europa League and Sparta as well. Fenerbahce Lille, it was very. It was like 90th minute. Oh, wait, did I delete the Galatasaray? Yes. Yeah, I think I was very unfortunate for Fenerbahce to sneak out with a result. And of course, Fenerbahce did not win. If Fenerbahce did not win the second leg, um, Slavia Lille. I feel okay about that. It's asymmetric. Dynamo Karabag. I think Karabag, had some really impressive games against Bayer Leverkusen in the knockouts in the previous season. So I think that they kind of inform my view. Bodo Red Star. I think as we're seeing now, how far Bodo went into the semifinals of the Conference League or of Europa League. That Bodo's home field advantage is literally in, like, it's not like it's in Bergen, Norway. It's literally in like a fjord, pretty far up. Of course, it's only August, but again, real thing. And Red Star, Zverna Zveda, kind of. Slova Midtjylland, again, I think that's the asymmetry I like to see. Sparta Malmo, right, wisening up to the draw no bets. Again, this is kind of like your generic draw no bet pair, right? Like one's home side's like 60, away side's 40, which in your head, right? Like there's probably some home field advantage and disadvantage for the away side, so that's kind of fair. This one, overhyping Galatasaray, but yeah, for kind of. Dynamo Kiev versus Salzburg. I feel okay about that. I think I win one of. Yeah, I guess just taking the asymmetry where it is. Um, so September 17th is when the actual group stage starts. Yeah, UA Eindhoven. This one makes me a bit disappointed. Like, frankly, Eindhoven were doing pretty well in the first 20. It was only when Kenan Yildiz uh, pulled off a cracker of a goal into the corner, incredibly well curled. That changed the tide. But again, I do not feel bad about sizing into asymmetric conviction. Again, a 78, an 80-20 outcome when it's a struggling or a very young Juve against a Peter Bosch Eindhoven. I feel okay about that. Again, um, yeah, I think this one, Sporting versus Lille on a straight money line. I think that is a bad bet. I think probably I was just way too much on the Gyökeres train, but lucky. So I think lucky got Stuttgart, Madrid. I do feel like, again, it's at a certain point. Like if it's a real team that has some coherent philosophy and structure, going against a team like Real Madrid, where there is not a structure, then a 50-50 outcome. Then it's a 50-50. Like, sure, there's a talent disparity, but a team actually has an actual structure and system can be competitive, assuming there is some talent that does exist in the top tiers. And Stuttgart, right in the Bundesliga, has that baseline of talent to be able to be a functioning team. And so I think, again, asymmetry like that happy to lead in. Milan, Liverpool. what can I say? You know, City Inter, the start of something very auspicious. PSG Girona again. 75. I will say there's something deceptive, right? Like you see 1.3, and like that's got to be a given, right? And then you think about what does that imply? 75% outcome, and like well conceptually, 1 out of 4 you should lose, and so like and so in the sense of trying to like clip coupons, you kind of can't, right? Because unless you want to clip 1.1s, which gets you to like that 90, but then at 1 out of 10, you're conceptually gonna lose. So again, like this is why like there aren't certainties. We're certainly not compensated for the certain events, right? Like the Club World Cup is coming up, right? And if you want to do like Auckland City versus Man City or versus Bayern, and where Bayern is at 1.02, like frankly, that's because the sportsbook is compensating you for the time value of the month until the Club World Cup, you know. Whereas, but frankly, I do feel pretty good about these, like Fluminense versus Dortmund, you know. Yeah, these are like the first matches. So you do have a question about like how European teams are going to handle it after a club season. Again, I think South American teams will be extremely motivated. I'm talking about those Brazilian clubs will be extremely motivated to make the most of the opportunity to make some big prize money. I think something like Al Hilal have a legit squad, a legitimate team. Right. I can go down the list of who they've got. Milinkovic Savic, João Neves, or Ruben Neves, excuse me. Ruben Neves. Bono in goal. João Cancelo. Mitrovic. That was Siri. Malcolm. That's a legit team. So again, is Madrid better? Yes, but to only be to only be to price it that wide, like come on guys, what are we doing? Like come on boys. That is super wide. Frankly, I should like I would feel very comfortable sizing that up. I'm just not just due to the time value. Just again like my bankrolls, I've significantly downsized. I've degrossed my bankroll naturally. So yeah, this is a side tangent. But again, like you see certain, I think the broad point is that like a lot of things, you're not really compensated for the risk you're taking. Like this looks like you're getting, like it looks like it's safe, just given the relative distribution of things. But in reality, like, you're gonna lose 1 out of 4. And I think, and if you lose that 1 out of 4, if you size things improperly, or you size things in a haphazard way, you will get caught off sides, and that can that can take a bit to recover. It's very hard to recover from. Certainly, just like sizing things up quite large to just sizing up your coupons, which aren't coupons, it turns out. Sparta Salzburg, come on, boys. Screw Salzburg and the Linders. Celtic, Monaco, legitimate squad of Adi Hooter and the talent they've got. And again, Barca teething issues, or even that, just any team like Barca that plays a high press, I think, can be vulnerable to teams that have talent. So, okay, look at that. Look at that. 30-70. Let's go. I think that's it. Like that's one of those bets I identify. So I see like identify. I think right given the asymmetry in betting of just how your principal is your principal, you must rather be compensated for the because you're taking on like permanent impairment risk regardless of what you do. Right? It's not like you have it's not like a prediction market, sports market where you have liquidity. So like you have to be very comfortable with the impairment risk. At that point, if you're gonna take on the same, it's not the same unit of risk because like again like the implied odds are different and the actual outcome likelihood of an outcome is different. But at a certain point, you may as well just try to focus on the asymmetric outcomes, or at least where like there's that bigger outcome for you, and then you do what you can to actually mitigate risk. Where like do your draw no bet, so instead of your 50, instead of 33, 33, 33, it's 50, 50, which helps protect your principal right in the event of a draw. Yeah, yeah, Brust, right, Bray, pretty good. Campaign, Feyenoord, Bayer Leverkusen. Yeah, maybe you could say not the best, right? But Red Star, Benfica, Atleti Leipzig. I do recall that being kind of lucky. Um, I was at PSG. Honestly, I was somewhat surprised. I think at this point, uh, I was surprised because conceptually, I don't recall. I guess I suppose I was negative on PSG, but I wouldn't think to that degree. But Bayer Leverkusen, Milan, yeah, incredible. Leverkusen dominated. Stuttgart, Sparta. Again, I think very happy with this identifying as the asymmetry. Dortmund, Celtic. I feel somewhat hard done by, but again, move on. Girona, Feyenoord. I think well done. Aston Villa, Bayern again. I think well done. Lille, Madrid. Frankly, of course hindsight, but I think I could have sized it much more. And frankly, I think probably some of it was getting whacked on this and just like degrossing a bit. But again, I think that Madrid thesis, right, team of structure versus team without structure, that are in top leagues, and so there's a baseline of talent and sizing asymmetry in those situations. I think it's a decent formula. Um, Again, to the point about you should focus on asymmetry. Um, yeah, bad. That was a bad one. Although split sizing is reasonably consistent for it. PSG Eindhoven, I think that was properly identified. Benfica Feyenoord. Ooh, Benfica Feyenoord. Was it still Roger Schmidt? Was Roger Schmidt still manager? Oh, it might have been. It might have been. No, it's so long. It's been half a year. Um, where would that be? Here it is. Let me screenshot it in. Was it Roger Schmidt? No, it was Bruno Lage. So Schmidt was fired by then. Um, okay. And if this was like Benfica, yeah. Although I suppose Feyenoord did have more XG. But again, asymmetry, size it appropriately in asymmetry. Accept the outcome. Know you're protected in the event of a tie. Right, do what you can. Atletico Lille, again, similar concepts. Right, probably should have sized more. I think Atlanta Celtic on the right side. Bayern Barca. Yeah, what can you do? I think I took the. Statistically, I should have. I suppose it would be somewhat intensive, but it would be kind of funny to like just have like what was the XG of the game, and then see like did the right team win, and then see how that my actual hit rate compares to that hit rate. And I mean, I suppose if the amount of line items I have enough of a sample size, so that'd be a funny experiment. Milan Madrid, yeah, this one. could have been sized up more. Again, like a real team. City Sport and this one screwed me good. Again, like I mean 70-30. That's not overly compelling. Like I mean, I agree to. I knew that Sporting could be dangerous, but it only like I guess it's a mental block. I associate like three and above on draw no bet is starting to be like that compelling asymmetry. So I think here I just yeah, it's off the ball. Bar Star Red Star. I mean, what can I say? Like this is a coupon clipping, right? Um, Lose 1 out of 4, 1 out of 5. Just got it's got to take it what you can get. Sparta, Atleti, Slovan, Milan. Again, that's just like when odds are that wide, I like you have to be intrigued. Like we're not talking about third, like 10th tier German football, right? Bayern, PSG. I don't feel bad about that. Inter, Leipzig. Conceptually, like Leipzig aren't great. Inter are really good, but I'm not gonna feel overly perturbed. Barca, Bray, again, just so wide, just incredibly wide. Again, like it's like when a game starts, it's 0-0. Like the initial state of a match is draw no bet is a tie, in which case I'm covered. And I think somebody else is also just recognizing that a Barca Shakhtar mistake of not picking the asymmetric side, and I think just making sure to, and also I think it's just again to a degree like this, just like a memory exercise. I think that's super interesting. Um, Liverpool, Madrid. Again, there's like some quality. Like I'm not just blindly taking like the longer odds. There's some qualitative overlay. It's not sophisticated, but I think it is somewhat more informed by actually watching games and actually doing some reading and some light Excel work. Atlanta, Madrid, Girona, Liverpool. Really, I'm somewhat miffed by that. Um, like Liverpool already qualified, and as Girona, we're doing better for parts of the game. Brest Eindhoven. Come on, gents. Yeah, I guess yeah. Eindhoven popped up a decent amount. Feyenoord, Sparta. Yeah, again, Athletic Bayer. I was extremely unlucky. Had again like yeah. PSG City. I mean, congrats to PSG. Honestly, I think that was probably one of the most what changed my inflection of PSG for the good of the season. Um, City Madrid, yeah, this one caught me out. Atalanta Brugge caught me out. Again, caught me out. Milan Feyenoord, yeah, caught me out. Incredible collapse. Bayern, these were literally the odds, bro. These are literally the odds. This is like incredible. Like you are literally pricing it at 100%. A Bayern will win. 100%. But because you need to have a line for the other side, you sauce it at 3%. That is just a hilarious line. Just like, I wrote down what the odds were. Like I'm not. I write them down after the ticket is made. That's just a hilarious line. Hilarious odds setting. But and again, like what can we expect? But some novelty. And just conceptually, right? Like something like it might be 99.9, but it's not 100. Although I suppose you can say that about a lot of things, like can you date Dua Lipa? It's like yeah, it's not zero. So Eindhoven Juventus finally returned me, rewarded me for my conviction. Dortmund Lille kind of got screwed over. Yeah, this is just horrible. Really, really bad. Yeah, Bayern, Bayer. Yeah, that's a. PSG Liverpool really got unfortunate on that. I got my revenge. Although again, like I, I I only broke even effectively, only 72 cents. Yeah, yeah. And so I mean, at the very least, the color coding is interesting. You can kind of see where really bad stretches. Not bad stretches, but there were periods where it's been more. Yeah, but it makes it intuitive to see. I'm not gonna. I think this is fun. Just do like retrospectives. If we think about what's the most degenerate stuff I've bet on, Faroe Island football. Honestly, like if you think about like what leagues, of course the sample size is very significantly. But if you think about the leagues, like women's football, horrible. I don't have much of an interest in women's football. This certainly does not incline me to be more interested. Like I would prefer to watch under 21s and then women's football, evidently. African football, Asian football. Yeah, there's. I think it's nice having a spreadsheet. There's fun stories in all of this stuff. But most of the general stuff, so what? Like Faroe Islands, Bangladeshi football. Now that is a banger, bro. Bangladeshi football. Let's go, Bangladesh police. Police, let's freaking go. Of course, evidently the honestly some of this was like I just want a sample size. The classic like what's a dumb person's idea of a smart person and what's a smart person's idea of a dumb person. It's like well, a smart person things have a spreadsheet to keep track of things, and the natural implication of that as well. Like you want to have a sample size, and of course the thing is right. If you're sizing things at units, like you are sizing things at units, so it can't add up. Yeah, there's something you could say about how top heavy leagues are. I'll save that for a different time. Paraguayan football, not terrible. Panama football. Burkina Faso, BFA FIFA code. Yeah, Burkina Faso. UA de Force Armée. Like, this was it's not a genre, but it's like a double chance. And that's why you still like the odds are so different. Right? Because it's telling you like, will they win or will they lose? And so like the Vegas is less obvious. Kyrgyzstan football. So clearly, uh, Kyrgyz football is what I should be sizing up. New Zealand football. Inconclusive. Singapore football. Inconclusive. Egyptian football. Egyptian football is yeah. That one. This one annoys me. Thailand football. Filipino football. Filipino football. There's that great meme. It's bald and bankrupt. You know, somewhat questionable YouTuber, but it's him going to different. It's a montage of him going to, like to different countries, and you can use it as a joke of like just being in random places. And gosh, like Philippines, Thailand, Egypt, Singapore, New Zealand, Kyrgyzstan, Burkina Faso, Panama, Paraguay, Bangladesh, Faroe Islands, El Salvador. El, Sa- El Salvador looks. This looks good, man. This looks like a nice distribution for El Salvador. Some good stuff in El Salvador. Honduras, less so. I am. I suppose to some degree, like my impression of a country is affected by my my betting experience. I think Kosovo. So Kosovo is good. I think Kosovo. Where's Serbia? Serbia, my Serbia. I fell to my knees as soon as I opened this Excel, bro. This tab. Yeah. 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 Man. Yeah, Serbian football has not treated me well. It's a shame. A shame you can't do Russia. I think Russia would be very fun because it's top heavy in the sense of like like Zenit, St. Petersburg, and the Moscow clubs are clearly like a step above. But at the same point, within that top echelon, there is still dispersion, right? Like Zenit is then above Spartak Moscow, so I think it'd be a very fun league. And I suppose my experience in I suppose like doesn't for my real world opinions. Like it's not a wholly accurate statement. I'm probably somewhat more sympathetic to Serbia than I am Albania, and by extension Kosovo, just given the vibes. But again, that just looks like a nice distribution of outcomes right there. Just give me green. Yeah, it's a great line. It's like there's a difference between gambling and winning, and I think you shouldn't lose sight of that. Like the goal is to win. It's not to the goal is to make smart EV positive things. Bosnia Herzegovina. Honestly, one nice thing, like because of betting Bosnian football, like that's how I knew there were big landslides. Cause like, why do I not see my when I do my weekly check? How come I don't see anything? Again, pro social. Vietnam, not terrible. Kenya, I've never touched. Apparently, Cameroon or Cambodia. UAE, I like UAE. Moldova. Only fan does Moldova, and they didn't offer draw no bets. So Uganda, I've done Ugandan football. I will say some like I've got Burundi. Burundi is in here somewhere. I bet on Burundian football. Right, like a pretty poor country. Tanzania. Let's go Tanzania prisons. Oh, I guess they're they're pretty bad. Let's go Tunisian football. I think Tunisian football there is some aura to it, like Esperance, Club Africain, Olympique Beja, like it's Vaxian. Like there's some aura to those club names. Gibraltar, Zambia. Like come on, boys. Like what risk premium am I demanding for this stuff? Cypriot football, Hong Kong, Hong Kong. Yeah, Kowloon. Like there we go, boys. That's the return profile we want. Like let's go. I like Kowloon. Let's go. That is some good stuff right there. That was a good asymmetry identification right there. That means nothing. That's all that means. Just looking at where odds are wide. Myanmar football. That's kind of funny with the civil war and all that. I don't know how many sanctions there are in Myanmar, but like, oh, you can say the same for Iran, which I've bet on. Nicaragua, Costa Rica. Costa Rica's been horrible. Yeah, Costa Rica. Yeah, Costa Rica's just been a complete disaster. I guess you can see a pattern just of taking longer odds, but extremely horrible. Guatemala, somewhat similar story. MWI. Malawi. Malawi football. I think Burundi or Malawi is like the most random. I would say Rwanda, Syria. Gosh, it's incredible. Like this, so this was, of course, Syria had like the crazy rebel advance. I think, gosh, it's like incredible. And I guess, yeah, I guess Syria, yeah, would have had sanctions and all of that. So I'm not sure if it's like the betting operators, or they don't have to pay like a data license if the country's sanctioned. So it's like just like a free thing to put on. I'm not quite sure, honestly. Iranian football is actually, I think, treated me somewhat well. I will say I do think Iranian football has treated me somewhat well. I do think broader U.S. foreign policy to Iran is not the same with Cuba. I think U.S. foreign policy in general is quite unfavorable. Maybe some of that's informed by my perception of Iranian football and the returns it has given me in play money. Although still negative. Well, not fair. If I Croatia, Malaysia, Malayan football, and Ghana, Ghana and Nigeria. So Serbia's been pretty bad, but Nigeria has been worse. I despise Nigerian football. I truly, I guess we haven't come across it yet, but I truly hate Jordanian football. Not super great. Ecuador, I think Ecuador. This is fine. Qatar, favorable. Korea, yeah, it's a better distribution. Tajik football, Tajikistan, Venezuela, yeah, fair enough. Montenegro, yeah, not great. Albania, this is honestly kind of funny. Like for this, uh, yeah, like this is not a 33, 33, 33 distribution. Peru, Algeria, Algerian football has treated me poorly. Like the odds are so wide. Like there are some, same with Nigeria. Like the issue is like you think the away team wins more than like they don't win only 10% of the time, but I, I could do some work to actually quantify it, but like come on guys, this is not a 30 30 33 distribution. Ethiopian football, this is Burundi. Burundi football. God, it's kind of funny. Like what? How much of someone's daily income am I am I putting on a bet? Because Burundi is a poor country, bro. Like it's like most of these countries are real. Like to have a football league that a sports book or a data provider wants to provide data on, like that's a decent indicator for if a country's reasonably stable and functioning. And so for Burundi to have passed that filter, it's kind of funny given how poor Burundi is. And like I think I Burundi daily income. Yeah, 60% of the population makes less than $2.15 a day. Oh my goodness! And here I am punting. That's actually hilarious. That is incredible. I now feel inclined to bet more on Burundian football. Yeah, I mean, imagine there's gotta be a data license that feeds into it somewhere, but I don't know. That is, I think in that regard of like, where is your bet the most like per dollar to like the local population or economy? Like, yes, I've I could be very my capital is inefficiently allocated, evidently. Yeah, but this is Nigerian football. I hate Nigerian football. I, I I despise Nigerian football. So you're telling me the away team won out of 20 of 5%. Like the away team does not win only 5% of the time. You clearly see like I identified a theme. I leaned into it pretty heavily. But even then, like even when I lean into like the very asymm like on the opposite side, it did this sort of pan out. It's very strange. Yeah, truly, I do despise Nigerian football. Australian football has treated me well. Oman football has treated me well. South Africa, fair enough. Morocco, same as like Tunisia. Kuwait, horrible. India, horrible. I think this is like yeah, very any football very disappointing. Senegal, fine. Ivory Coast, let's go Ivory Coast. Favorite West African country. Certainly I like it more than Nigeria. Georgia, let's go Georgia. Great stuff. Great stuff in the Caucasus. Welsh football, Uzbekistan football, Kazakh football. I can't complain. Fiji. Okay, they're also pretty random. So, but yeah, like these are. So I guess it's kind of degenerate to. Gosh, that's a wild distribution. Yeah, Indonesian football, Bahraini football, Jamaican football, Canadian football, Israeli. Actually, Israeli. Yeah, I suppose there is some moral conflict with this, but so, some moral conflict, but I've done worse. Um, I will say, just like the naming conventions, just make it like different sports books have different naming conventions for like these Israeli clubs. Like some will use like Hapoel or like Maccabi, and others will like change it. So it's a bit annoying to try to standardize it. Armenian football is treating me poorly. Uruguayan football, nice. Colombian football could be better. Chilean football, Northern Ireland, like again, like just from like the intellectual curiosity point, it's just fascinating. Estonian football, I'm happy with. Latvian, eh. Lithuanian, eh. Azerbaijani, fair. Andorran football, let's go, boys. Andorra, we're doing European micro states, boys. I suppose less degenerate than Burundian football. Malta, I think it's disappointing. San Marino, disappointing. Luxembourg, disappointing. Iceland, very disappointing. Bulgaria had a very good outcome. Somewhere, where is it? It's here it is. Siska Sofia, right? September. Like, let's go, boys. That is a good. That's a good hit. I think the rationale is I know because occasionally like I'll read something about how because Bulgarian football like the Bulgarian Football Association is a weird entity where there's like some corruption and you have like Dmitry Berbatov, the former United player, running to be president. So I was somewhat clued into like Bulgarian football, and I knew that CS Siska Sofia was somewhat dysfunctional. Um, and yeah, at a certain point, like it's just so wide. Like, let's go, boys. Let's let's go, boys. Um, I do suppose then, evidently Siska Sofia's uh, improved. I mean, like I've even done like second tier Bulgarian football. Let's go, boys. Austrian football, not bad, not bad. Serbian football, again, it's like it is honestly kind of funny. Like, how long has it been since you've had a hit? And just think about like what's your normal distribution of outcomes? Like, Part of me like I don't. It's like a horrible thing. Like, you don't want to end on a. But come on, guys, this is not a normal distribution of outcomes, which implies negative selection on my part. Which I'm not sure if I like the humorous. I will ignore the implication. Slovenian football, Slovakian football, Irish football, proper Irish. Japan is an interesting. Just given you can bet on all three tiers of Japanese football. So first, I think as a long-term intellectual project, I think Japan is a very. I'll think China, although I don't think you can bet on Chinese football anymore. Like none of the U.S. sports books offer Chinese Super League or China League One for some reason. But I do think just given the depth, and you can say the same about like German football and Spanish football and English football, but just given the depth of the football pyramid, I do think Japan is an interesting one. And again, also I think for so much time, like just one like a little timing of when games are, like I think there is like a legitimate if you want to just like maximize. Like I think the one benefit of betting is like massive negatives, but the only benefit is like the amount of turns you can do on capital. You can just like turn if you want to put dollars to work. Of course, you're going to lose a lot of it, presumably or implicitly. But like if you just want to put dollars to work, if you had like a magic way to get the right answers, like sports betting is effectively how you would get massive volume if you wanted it. I think Japanese football because like the games are at midnight and 2 a.m. Like you have those games ready, and then you have like the games during your regular hours, and just like keep that flywheel going. And because it's three tiers, like they stagger the games throughout the week. So I do think Japanese football is like it's not alpha rich, but in terms of like volume rich, like yes, it is very interesting. Scottish football, disappointing. Romanian football, I can't complain about Romanian football. I can't begrudge it. And I don't begrudge any of these places for my poor decisions, but Norway betting against Lillestrøm is a hilarious, hilarious. Of course, Lillestrøm were relegated. And just betting against Lillestrøm is was an incredible theme. I think was accurate, and it does make me smile despite relegation, which is unfortunate for anybody. Ukraine, Finland. Of course, it was kind of like about Ukrainian football in the middle of a war, but Finnish, Danish, Polish, Yankball, MLS. Sweden has treated me poorly. Mexico, yeah. Saudi, yeah, yeah. Saudi's. I think Saudi has the characteristics of a league structure I should be better, but I couldn't make it work. Swiss, China, yeah. This is yeah, not just the top tier, but also like lower tiers. I think China, like you can get like this one, like Beijing, Beijing versus Shanghai. Like, proper selection right there. Belgian football is I do despise Belgian football. Like the league structure is completely stupid. Like their weird relegation and championship groups and like having points. I think also just Belgian football in terms of like consistency is completely stupid. I dislike it. These are lower tiers of English football. Czech football, Greek, Argentina. It's been tough. Same with Brazilian football. It's been tough. Like out of intellectual curiosity, and I also again just like times in like velocity of dollars, but in practice, it's Portuguese football. I think was good, but I think I take that back. Dutch football has been very disappointing. Yeah, Ajax really got me good. I was okay. Ajax. If I think about the events that were significant impairments of capital that made it an impossible hole to climb out of, I think Dutch football is that. Turkey's been okay to me. It's a lower tier Italian football, lower tier German football. I'd be betting on fifth tier stuff. French, second tier French football is fair. Spain's been tough. English Championship, tough. Champions Cup. I think LAFC Club World Cup. Asian Champions League, tough. Copa Libertadores in Sudamerica, tough. Europa Conference League, tough. Europa League, ooh, that is a horrible page, man. That is a hor. If I should have a thumbnail, this is it. Oh my goodness. Ajax Marseille. This game annoys me. That how this game turned out. Gosh, that is a horrible. This one I cashed out early. Like Athens would have won. Champions League, Ligue 1, France, intellectually interesting. Bundesliga, I don't like the Bundesliga. It's a very strange league, very strange. La Liga's been tough. Italian football is probably out of the big five leagues. Things Italian football has probably been the best to me. Premier League, yeah, yeah. It has a list of degeneracy and whatnot. So thanks for watching. I'm gonna watch Juventus and Lazio, but